The Oklahoma Sooners are pursuing another wide receiver in the transfer portal. Who dat?
Yes.
We'll talk coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners are pursuing wide receivers in the transfer portal. We know that they've offered Keelan Marion and have been wanting to set up a visit, trying to get him pulled into Norman and hopefully not let go of the BYU wide receiver transfer. But they've also offered another wide receiver in the transfer portal, Jer'michael Carter. He was an unrated prospect coming out of high school out of Louisiana, also similar to JaVonnie Gibson. Played at McNeese State in 2023 and 2024. In 2024, led the Cowboys in catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns, and accounted for 22% of their passing yardage, Jay.
Yeah, and that team was not a passing team. I mean, their starting quarterback threw for 1,000, and then they had another quarterback on there that threw for 900. So they weren't really, and then a third quarterback that threw for 300 yards. So you're looking at 2,200 yards-ish, and they aren't a team that passed the ball much. They ran the ball a lot. They had 4 running backs with over 200 yards rushing, one with 800, one with 300, one with 300, one with 200. So they were more so on the ground type of play, and that's just what was their game. Well, Jer'michael went out there with his 500-something yards and 3 touchdowns and just stepped up and stepped out. I think the thing that jumped out to me the most is that he is a Louisiana boy. Similar to our guy, JaVonnie Gibson, as I told y'all before. He's from, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it again. It's Opelousas, or whatever, Louisiana. I don't care. I know I said it wrong, but y'all understand that. Jer'michael is from Kentwood, Louisiana. So got another Louisiana boy. He's 6'4", 192 pounds, and he's only a sophomore. Guys, we would love to have additional projects at that size that we can have, because what we're doing today, and it seems like the team feels comfortable enough that JaVonnie and Jayden will be back roughly around the season starts. That's most of your height. You still got Ivan Carrion, who's trying to, get acclimated to this level. Manny Choice is a true freshman who can figure some stuff out. But you still want to have some of those bigger receivers to be super threats. Jer'michael could be one of those. We saw that JaVonnie was probably going to be wide receiver 1 because he's just that talented. He was just truly underrated. Heck, maybe his grades weren't at the right spot, and the reason why he did not get picked up at a young age. But Jer'michael could be in a similar situation. Coming from McNeese, I understand what everybody's going to say, but when talent is talent, you go for the talent. And I think Jer'michael's got the opportunity for it.
And sometimes you need an opportunity to prove that you're capable of getting a better opportunity. And it seems like he's gone and done that. He entered the transfer portal on Monday, the 21st. And since then, he's already received interest from Utah, Colorado State, Vanderbilt, Baylor, UConn, OU, and West Virginia. So listen, a mix of intriguing schools there. We know Rich Rod out at West Virginia is going to have try to have a prolific offense. Baylor's offense is on the rise. And obviously Oklahoma is looking for some size on the outside because of JaVonnie Gibson's injury, Jayden Gibson's setback earlier in spring ball. Aside from Keontez Lewis, you don't really have a lot of collegiate production at outside wide receiver. It's all kind of inside with Isaiah Satania, Deion Burks, Jacob Jordan. So you need to find a little bit more depth, guys that can play on the outside and are going to be able to physically hold up against the more physical cornerbacks that you'll face in the SEC. Jer'michael Carter, this is a big opportunity for him. And obviously he's getting a lot of looks across the country. And I imagine that those offers will continue to grow as the transfer portal days wane on. But this is just another sign that Oklahoma doesn't feel satisfied with where they're at wide receiver, even though they've got some really young guys with a lot of potential in a Zion Kearney, Manny Choice, Ivan Carrion, Elijah Thomas. It's a good group of young players, but there's not a lot of time to kind of just sit and wait for these guys to develop. You've got to have an answer at every position across the board. And this just, again, is a sign of Oklahoma's desire to be aggressive and trying to improve their depth throughout.
Yeah, and it's not a knock on any of the young players or whatnot. It's just the fact that they're young. And once they go out there in the field and show us, be a different story. Like, we talked about this numerous times here. I think that Zion Kearney's at the point where he's probably going to be the next guy to step up. He feels like the one that's naturally probably going to be your number 2 wide receiver with JaVonnie Gibson as your number 1. I see Zion Kearney as your number 2. I think he's getting to that point. He's got the size, he got the strength, and he looked pretty solid in a lot of the videos we saw from practice. The question is, how does the 2 deep go down and how the rotations go? You kind of want somebody that's going to be a veteran and someone that's going to be intimidating. Like, we know Satania and Burks are going to be an issue for a lot of the teams. If Keontez Lewis is healthy, he's probably going to start causing problems for other teams as well at 6'2". You want JaVonnie and Jayden back. Then you really got yourself a tandem of 4 wide receivers. You can really be just threatening for everybody. Well, if they come back and they're healthy before game 1, all of it's moot. Like, we want Keelan Marion is a very good pickup opportunity because of the return game. That's a return guy. You ain't got to actually play him at wide receiver a lot. But you can play him when you need him. But he's much better at the return. Now, with this, I mean, you've still got guys that can do return. You know that Satania is a really good return guy. Jaden Ott, you may not want him to, but he's actually pretty solid at the return game too. Josiah Martin probably can as well. You may not want to, but, what hurts you to be able to play them there? You want to make sure that your wide receiver room has, for Emmett Jones, he wants enough experience to be able to help fine-tune what you're getting out of your wide receivers. That's more so the bigger case here, John. I think we can get that if you add a player. I think adding a player of Jer'Michael's capabilities, he's more of a project, but he's got something that you can't really teach, which is size, as we talked about in the last segment.
And he's a guy that took advantage of his opportunities. Like you mentioned, they didn't throw the ball a ton at McNeese, but when he got the ball thrown his way, he created big plays, and he was able to lead the way for that offense in the passing game. So I like that aspect of it, just that, okay, maybe he came from a lower level school, but he was the leading receiver on that lower level school, and by a lot. Like, there were not a lot of touchdowns thrown. He was the only dude that I saw that had multiple touchdown receptions on that team. So he's a good player. Again, sometimes you just go roundabout ways to get your opportunities at bigger opportunities and bigger schools. And listen, he's going to have an opportunity somewhere. Hopefully it's at Oklahoma, because they could use some of the depth on the outside. And this isn't to say that some of these young guys couldn't emerge and become a starter on the outside just this season. Right. You just don't know that right now. And do you want to head into fall camp with the expectation that, hey, your young guys are ready to step up and step out and break out? Okay, if you saw enough in spring ball that you feel like they're on that upward trajectory, then okay, by all means. But if you're just not sure, then yeah, add some more competition. Find a guy that you think can solidify the room a little bit more and go from there. And he's going to have multiple years of eligibility left as well. And so that's another piece to the puzzle that I think is going to matter in this one as well. The Oklahoma Sooners have a bit of a quarterback dilemma going on with the 2026 recruiting class. We're going to discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.